Welcome back to the Manifestation and Money podcast. Have you ever felt like you're doing all of the right manifestation things, but it's still not fully clicking? Today, we're talking about the missing link between manifestation and money, your subconscious beliefs and your strategy. Because it's not just about calling money in, it's about being able to hold on to it and grow it too. I'm joined by Audrey Faust, the Manifesting CFO, and we get into the real reason people can have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, and how to finally shift that. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, the show where we tackle the taboo topics of money and manifestation. I'm your host, Jenny Schultz, former 9-to-5 grinder who ditched the status quo and went all in on creating a life I love. Yes, I use manifestation. Yes, I took action. And yes, I created a 7-figure net worth before turning 40. Every week, I'll bring you inspiring stories with money mavens and manifestation masters. From learning how to make more, save more, and grow your wealth to unlocking the power of manifesting your dream life. I am so excited to play in this space with you. Let's jump into creating a life you love. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Jen. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you. I would love for you to share with the listeners who you are and what your story is.
Sure. My name is Audrey Faust. I'm known as the Manifesting CFO. So I combine energy work with financial strategy, and I help women entrepreneurs manifest, manage, and multiply their money. And a funny story how I got into this is I've always been in the financial world, right? I had an accounting agency for many, many, many years. I was doing really well with that. And then I was working with multi-7-figure clients in that agency. Our goal, of course, was to build a business that they could someday sell. And my 2 largest clients sold their business at the exact same time. One on purpose, one by accident. Like, not by accident, but he got an offer in the mail. Wasn't really in the mail, in the email. And I found myself trying to figure out, I was doing some financial coaching on the side, not on the side, I can't say that. I'm also a certified neuro coach. So for a few years, I was doing coaching and this accounting agency. And when that happened, I found myself deciding that I wanted to go full into the coaching. And I had this secret side to me, Jen, the manifesting side, that I had been like my vision board over here. And for the last few years, thinking I couldn't bring that side of me out, that it wouldn't be accepted in the financial world with my clients in the accounting agency. And the moment that I did that, the moment that happened, those clients decided, they sold, I helped them transition out into these new larger companies that already had an accounting team. Then I decided to go full in on coaching and financial strategy and became the Manifesting CFO. And the minute I did that, I just felt this huge relief of this part of me I had been hiding. And I feeling like I had to have this certain image as a financial professional.
Yeah, I get that. Because when I told my coach that I wanted to do a podcast on manifestation and money, she was like, I don't think you can do that. And I was like, huh, okay, perfect. I'm going to go do that, right? Because sometimes you just need that wall going, hey, why not? Let's just go see if we actually can go do the thing. So what I find fascinating about you is I think in manifestation, people try to go out, I'm going to win $1 million, let's say. I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to win $10 million. And then you hear about the person that then is broke, bankrupt,
right,
a year or two later. So they don't have that money strategy behind it. So that's why I'm fascinated to hear how you are bringing together the manifestation and the money strategy. Because yes, I think they can go together and they do go together, and we need to bring them together.
Well, you bring up a very interesting fact, Jen, and I'm going to dive into that a little more because I'm also a certified neuro coach. So that whole anomaly around people winning the lottery and then a few years later being broke is actually because they have a money mindset behind that. It doesn't allow them to have money. They may have a belief that is rich people are mean, greedy, selfish. They have some sort of belief that when they become rich, they don't want to be that person. And that's so far into their subconscious, which is what the whole neuro coaching model is about. It's diving into the things that were programmed in there when we were young and reprogramming them so they don't sabotage us like that. But that is a perfect example of how our money mindset can sabotage us just like that. They have some sort of belief that they either don't deserve money or they have to be a certain way if they do have money and they don't want to be that way. Mean, rich, selfish, greedy. And that was programmed in 99% of the time when they were a child. They either heard their parents say it or their parents was like, oh, look at the, Joneses over there. They just got a new car. Or they think they're special or, something like that. That kind of stuff when you're a child really goes in there because your subconscious until the age 7 is like wide open. And any kind of information like that you're absorbing, either words or actions, or if your parents fight about money, like you're going to have issues with that. All of that is tied back to your childhood. So if something like that happens to you, or if you're constantly getting money and then losing it, it's probably because there's some sort of subconscious belief in there that you're unaware of that is doing that.
Yeah. And I always find that fascinating that it stems from childhood. And part of me goes in panic mode because my kids are 10 and 6. And I'm like, oh man, like what have I done that is going to play out in their future as adults? Because the seeds have been planted, right? So how do you help adults then? Like what is something somebody can do to kind of dig into where they could have these money beliefs holding them back?
Well, first thing you want to realize is, do you personally have these money beliefs that you could be actually portraying onto your children? I didn't get into this work till my kids were grown and out of the house. So I'm sure I instilled some sort of money beliefs in them as well. Because one of the things my mom always said is you have to work hard for your money. That was one I had to reprogram that, and you're a perfect example because you shared before this podcast that, you retired early and you're not officially working, like a normal job for your money. That is probably not a belief that you have, but a lot of people have that belief. I had that belief. I was a workaholic before I reprogrammed that belief. And that's how it's going to show up, right? I didn't have a huge amount of beliefs around, rich people or anything like that, but I did have the belief of you have to work hard for money. And that translates into workaholic, working too much.
Mm-hmm. So that belief came from your mom. And how did that play out for her in her life of the work hard for your money?
I mean, they were paycheck to paycheck people. Her and my dad, she was a working mom. She grew up, her parents went through the Depression. Mm-hmm. So, you have generation after generation of money mindset things being passed down. And if you don't kind of put a stop to it, then it's going to continue on. Mm-hmm. So, and, if you think about that, like I said, her parents were in the Depression. Imagine the money mindset they had, like going through that time. And that's going to shape people, even adults going through a really, really hard time is going to shape their money mindset.
For somebody who's, like you said, it's getting passed on generational. So your grandparents then going through the Depression, times were different then. So the beliefs that they had and the work ethic that they had to match what they were going through. So then for them to pass it on generational, which is great because it came from a good survival place. But now the landscape has changed now. So therefore, your beliefs and the way you do things should be allowed to change too. But I guess we're kind of locked into the beliefs without even realizing that we're locked into them.
Yes, 100%. Before age 7 is when your subconscious is formed and your conscious mind is not yet formed. You're not able to like rationalize things. And then as an adult, it kind of closes off your subconscious so you don't become aware of it. So your subconscious does have a great purpose. You can tie your shoes without thinking about it. You can, brush your teeth without thinking about it. You can do all these things, repetitive things, without thinking about it. You're just doing them. And that's the job of the subconscious. But then there's also these other things that it puts in there, like your money mindset. And you have over 80,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are coming from your subconscious that you're not even aware. If there's something not going the way you want in your life, think about the thoughts that you're having around that. My biggest breakthrough and why I became a certified neuro coach was I hired a coach because I had a business, and I was like working with these multi-7 in my accounting agency, multi-6, multi-7 figure companies. And I'm like, why can't I grow to like that? Like, what's wrong with me? I hired my first mindset coach, and it was because I had all these beliefs about who I was and what I was. And once I identified them, then I was able to grow my business to multi-6 figures. And it was like amazing to me that I could even change my thoughts. That was probably the biggest revelation I got when I first worked with a mindset coach was all these thoughts in my head, I can actually change them.
And how did you? Because it's one thing, somebody could be listening and be like, yeah, I know I have this belief, but how does somebody go to start shifting their thoughts?
Well, just like anything else, just like learning to tie your shoes, right? It's repetition. It's finding evidence of the opposite if it's a belief that you don't want to have anymore. For instance, my own belief, making money is hard, I would find evidence of the opposite. When times it wasn't hard. I had a couple of rental properties, like yourself, and that wasn't hard. That was easy. I didn't have to work for that money. It just came in. I didn't have to work hard for that money. So finding evidence of the opposite is the first step to disproving it. And then you just have to keep reminding yourself and reminding yourself and reminding yourself. It's not always easy as that to find evidence. I had a client one time who we identified she was struggling with a belief that rich people are greedy. So in turn, that caused her to not be profitable in her business. She had a loss every single year. I deal with the mindset first, then I go into the profitability, because if that mindset is keeping you from being profitable, we got to change that first. But so anyway, we discovered that she had this belief unbeknownst to her. She didn't even know it because her conscious mind did not believe that. She didn't believe that rich people were greedy, but we identified it through a series of questions that I asked to see if it's in her subconscious. So sometimes if you feel like you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, that's why, because there's something in your subconscious that's stopping you to keep you safe. That's the other job of the subconscious. We identified this belief, and I said, well, do you have evidence of anyone who is rich and is not greedy? She goes, like that personally. And if you don't know somebody personally, then we go to like somebody famous, right? She goes, my best friend. I was like, well, that's like the perfect example. You know them intimately. She goes, yeah, my best friend. It was a guy. She said, he's very rich and he's very generous. So we started slowly reprogramming it to rich people are generous instead of rich people are greedy. Because if your subconscious believes something, it's going to make it true. And if it's running 95% of your thoughts, it's really hard to combat that.
Yeah, I love the analogy there of you saying one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, because I believe that with manifestation, the people that are feeling that resistance, they're like, I think I'm doing all the things. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, yet it's still not coming to life in true form. I wonder if they paid more attention to digging into what subconscious block that could be, if then
Yeah,
they'd be able to release the brakes, then go after what they want.
100%. And that's, I call my framework manifest, manage, and multiply. And the manifesting part is a lot of diving into the mindset. But
that sounds like work, Audrey. That sounds like work. But yeah, but by doing that work, what kind of results are you seeing? Like if that's your starting point with your clients, it's probably that you're doing that for a reason, right?
100%. Well, the girl I told you about where rich people are greedy, she had a business for 10 years and never pulled a profit once. After we worked together, she had her first profitable year ever. I mean, it's just, we dove into that and then we dove into the, logistics and said, okay, let's figure out why you're not profitable. Let's look into the money part, right? Use the practical part. And we're clearing out this belief. Now let's figure out like how to make you profitable. So it's a combination.
When you're digging into the profitable side, then after you've dealt with the mindset side, are they then able to look with a clearer mind at their books, what they might have been spending money on that then they see, okay, this was a waste of money? Or what kind of things shift that you see? Like, how does the practical strategy come in after the mindset work's been done?
Sure. So I'll go back to that same example. So she's an entertainer, the woman I was referring to, and she's a singer. And first of all, one of her other beliefs was because she's a singer and an entertainer, she's not supposed to make a profit.
Oh.
So that was another one of her beliefs that we dismantled. And then we looked at, well, why are you not profitable? And then we looked at each of her gigs, as she calls them, and we deciphered what she wasn't doing was because she would bring in a team. So she was the singer, and then she would bring in the orchestra, and then she would bring in, all these other pieces to put on the show. But the only one that wasn't making money was her. So all the other subcontractors were. So, so exactly what we did is we deciphered that. We said, okay, if you are not going to make money at this price point, you're not going to do it. So she got to say no to some of the events that said, this is our budget. And she would do the numbers ahead of time to say, well, this is how much it's going to cost me between travel and team and all of that, and gave herself permission to say no if it wasn't profitable. Now, there was one exception because she did a tour over in Europe, and that tour brought in other business. So even though she wasn't profitable at that tour, it brought in other business. And you can even, I had an interior designer I worked with who had a store that wasn't profitable. But in both instances, her store, as well as this Europe tour, you look at it like marketing instead of a job, right? Like, okay, this is where you're doing your marketing. The store owner was an interior designer. She looked at her store as marketing because she was getting all of her clients walking in off the street and hiring her to come to their house and do their interior decorating. Same with the singer. She was going to Europe doing this tour, and then other people were calling her based on that tour to come to them. You have to, that's where you dive into it a little bit. Does everything have to be profitable? Well, no, not if there's marketing or something else to it. Like, I'm doing this in order to bring in more business, then it makes sense.
Yeah, to have that intention behind it.
Sorry, I'm putting my CFO hat on. We're talking manifestation, and I'm like putting on my CFO hat.
Yeah, no, that's great. So they switch the mindset, then they're able to look at their money strategy better. And I would think from that then comes a boost of confidence, in which then they're going back and it's like a ripple effect. Well, now I have more confidence to go out and go for the things I want to go for. And now I have the brain, the subconscious, and the conscious mind that are both moving towards it in a positive way.
Exactly. I mean, confidence, I would say confidence and clarity are the two words I hear most after working with people. Is they have the confidence in their numbers and then the clarity in looking at them after they work with me.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I know this is probably, we're like kind of digress. This is a manifestation podcast, but
It's all good because it's all about going for the things you want to go for. And my brain is still on the 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brakes. Honestly, I think if people can walk away with that golden nugget and put that into their manifestations, paying more attention, doing the work on what they're wanting and what could be holding them up, I think that's gold right there. But I do want to talk about your book.
yes.
So let's switch gears here and let's go talk about your book.
So I actually have two books. She Grows Rich is personal finance book that came out in January of 2025. It talks a little bit about the money mindset and how to grow your wealth and how I've grown my wealth from a poverty level to multi-million-dollar net worth. And my book that's coming out, which is all around manifestation, is You Are an Abundant Bee, the No BS Guide to Manifesting. And the story behind that is when I switched from the accounting agency business into coaching, I really just said, manifestation has never really worked for me. So I'm like just going to go all in on manifesting because I just walked away from multi six figures. The three things that I talk about in the book as well as inside my workshops is it's called dishing the tea, TEA. Thoughts, which go back to your money mindset that we talked about, your energy, which is if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, he has the emotional scale. So keeping your energy positive on the emotional scale. And then alignment, which is the third one of the TEA, which is making sure what you're doing lights you up. And that's kind of the whole shift that I did. And I manifested $29,000 in 2.5 weeks just by focusing on those three things.
Yeah, I like that. My brain likes a good, what is it? Why can't I even think of the word now? What is it when you make a word out of words?
Acronym.
Yes, my brain likes a good acronym. Thank you. So that's great. And alignment, I think alignment is such a crucial piece of the puzzle. Like just follow those things in life that make you feel good, that your heart and your gut and your soul is saying yes to. Use that as your compass. If we all did that, I think the world would be a better place. We'd be lifting each other up. We'd all be in better morale, let's just say.
Yeah, 100%. Like that. It's funny. I say that exact thing in the book. If you read through that book that's coming out in March and you get nothing else from that book other than like to be like in better energy, like that's a great thing, right? It's if everybody focused on being in a better energy and a positive energy and happy with what they're doing in life, what an amazing world it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 110%. I'm excited to dive into your book when it comes out. And before we go anywhere else with this, I want to ask you what your biggest piece of advice would be for someone to go out and create a life they love. And yes, financial independence can be a part of that.
Just do what your heart lights up, what lights you up. The journey I've been on the last few years is not necessarily always doing what the experts tell you, right? So do what lights you up and what aligns with you, and the money will come. So, we sometimes, myself included, we want to work with these coaches and work with this person and follow this person on Instagram and do whatever they tell us because they have to know better, right? When your energy is not in it, like it's not going to work for you. It's almost contradictive. And I feel like I learned this lesson over and over again because I always think somebody knows better than me. Just do what works for you and do what lights you up, and the money will follow.
I love permission slips like that. Permission to just step into being you. Just be you and go out there and rock it in this world. So I'd love for you to share with guests where they can, or with listeners where they can reach out to you, connect with you, carry on this conversation.
Absolutely. So my website is audreyfaustconsulting.com. And there's some free gifts on there. And there's an amazing visualization that I'm getting huge feedback, positive feedback from. It's a 10-minute visualization around abundance and manifestation. And so you can find that there. You can find me on Instagram and in Facebook at the Manifesting CFO. And I'm also very active on LinkedIn under Audrey Faust.
Awesome. I will link that all in the show notes for everyone. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on the show today and having this conversation.
Thanks for having me, Jen. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening. If today ignited a spark within you, come play with us inside Manifestation Playground on School. You can join for free and dive into the Manifestation Vault right away. Come say hi to me and the other amazing members in the welcome thread, or just lurk and soak it all in. Both are totally welcome. Grab your spot at manifestationplayground.ca. I'll see you inside. Cheers to creating a life you love.